U.S. is now the world's epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic, and cases continue to multiply there. Tonight, there are more than 121,000 confirmed cases throughout America, and more than 2,000 people have died. The situation in New York is critical. Hospitals there are overwhelmed, and soldiers have been sent in to help. And tonight, 800,000 physicians signed and sent a letter to the American president saying social distancing must continue in order to save lives. Jennifer Johnson has more.
In hard-hit New York City, a grim statistic. On Thursday and Friday, COVID-19 killed New Yorkers at a rate of 1 every 17 minutes. The situation so severe, U.S. President Donald Trump is considering a quarantine on New York, New Jersey, and parts of Connecticut.
Some people would like to see New York quarantined because it's a hot spot. This would be an enforceable quarantine.
The U.S. Navy hospital ship Comfort will dock in New York Harbor Monday with more beds, doctors, and supplies. Still, some New York residents are trying to flee. Police are on alert along the U.S. East Coast.
I feel bad that New York is getting such a bad rap sheet when it's really all over the place.
New Yorkers coming into Rhode Island are being stopped and registered with the National Guard.
It's what I know to be necessary in order to keep Rhode Islanders safe.
New York is still facing a severe shortage of ventilators, masks, and other essential supplies. Healthcare workers fearing for their lives.
We already lost our first nurse in New York City. We're going to lose more.
Under an emergency order, the Pentagon is reactivating former troops and deploying them to hard-hit regions. New Orleans, Detroit, Chicago, and other metropolitan areas are all facing an overwhelming increase in COVID-19 patients.
There is no congregating allowed.
Doctors in hospitals across the country are being forced to make gut-wrenching decisions: who will get a ventilator and who will not. Terrifying for patients.
I felt like my lungs weren't expanding. You feel the sensation of drowning.
COVID-19 tests remain in short supply, but the federal government has just given emergency approval for a rapid COVID-19 test with results in minutes.
That enables the healthcare provider to see a patient, diagnose a patient, and take the necessary interventions in a very short amount of time.
50,000 rapid tests a day are expected to be produced starting next week. Some good news as this virus continues its deadly spread across America. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
And the COVID-19 pandemic passed 2 grim milestones in Europe today. More than 20,000 people have died on the continent after contracting the virus. 10,000 of those deaths were in Italy. As dozens of countries struggle to get a grip on the crisis, the lockdowns are expected to become even more severe. Redmond Shannon explains.
This is the latest tool the Spanish government is using to try and slow down the spread of the new coronavirus. Thousands more people will likely die, so this work is all about mitigating the misery of the coming month.
Les anuncio que el gobierno de España.
Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has guaranteed full wages to all non-essential workers who stay home over the next 2 weeks. On Friday, Pope Francis delivered perhaps his most surreal mass since being elected pontiff, praying for an end to the pandemic in an empty St. Peter's Square. A very different service in Italy's north. This church is full that is, of coffins. The priests opening their doors as a makeshift morgue. No one could take care of these people, said Father Mario Carminati, so we leave them here, in the house of God, for him to look after them. Some Italians are still not getting the message about the importance of lockdowns, with police lecturing drivers over unnecessary journeys. There are similar bans on public gatherings across the continent. Berlin police controlling people's movements in ways not seen since the days of East Germany's Stasi secret police. The scene is no different in London, where this enormous convention centre will soon open as a 4,000-bed hospital.
I've developed mild symptoms of the coronavirus.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson remains isolated with the virus, and like so many, he is now working from home.
But I think the one thing this has reminded us is that no one is immune, and that is precisely why we ask people to follow the government advice.
The British government is scrambling to get 20,000 new ventilators in the coming weeks. A communications mix-up meant it missed out on a chance to join a European group purchase. Instead, it's dealing directly with companies like vacuum makers Dyson and Formula One racing teams to build the units in time to save lives. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.